Number 2 fighter, 2026 to make headlines is Alex Pereira. Now, Alex Pereira is in a position. Alex Pereira is one win away, as a matter of fact, from ending a discussion known as GOAT. GOAT stands for greatest of all times, and largely only jerks engage in that conversation in the first place. And largely, it's done by idiot fanboys that really want to shine somebody up from yesterday. That's usually what the GOAT is. I can tell you, like in basketball, 100% of the time, that's what it is. Get a bunch of guys together, they're going to argue Wilt, or they're going to argue Michael, or they're going to bring in Colby. It always has to do something with times past, but it's fun. There's no tournament for it. It's meant as a form of legacy remembrance. And I believe Alex Pereira is one win away from ending our ability to have a GOAT conversation. Can you imagine? I mean, GOAT conversation is just that. Get a few people together and start talking and sharing who you think the greatest of all time is. That's it. And I think Alex Pereira, with a win at heavyweight, becoming heavyweight champion, ends our ability to even have the discussion. When we talk about greatest of all time, we just have to refer to Alex Pereira. I really think that. I think I made an argument, it was 2 years ago, and I lost the argument. Who was with me? Daniel Cormier, John Anik. Might have just been the three of us. And it was an year in review show for ESPN. So it was a popularity contest. It was a popularity contest between the three of us who the fighter of the year was. And I said it was Alex Pereira. And they told me no, it couldn't be, because Pereira had lost that year. He'd been knocked out by Adesanya. And I said, yes, but within the same calendar year, Alex Pereira held the 85-pound world championship and he held the 205-pound world championship. And the fact that he held both those belts in a calendar year and that nobody else did was enough. And that argument did not hold up. Anik and Daniel Cormier. As a matter of fact, one of them even laughed. One of them even laughed and smirked. I still think it's a strong argument. I really do. I think the people that gave Merab Fighter of the Year, in spite of not ending the year with the championship, I think that was fair and objective. He was not my Fighter of the Year, but I think that was fair and objective. I don't know that being undefeated is a prerequisite, particularly when you're covering different weight classes. Now, that's the very thing with Pereira. He's willing to cover the spread at different weight classes, and let's look at what he would have to do to become the heavyweight champion of the world. He's either going to have to beat, if we look at the landscape right now, he is not walking into a fight with Tom Aspinall unless there's some hook or crook. And there oftentimes is hook or crook, particularly in the UFC's heavyweight division. But we're hearing different things about the return of Tom Aspinall. So what does that look like? I would imagine if they delayed the return of Tom Aspinall and decided they wanted to get on with the heavyweight title, whether you made it for an interim belt or you made it an undisputed belt, I imagine that could involve surreal. And if you had, if I was to give you the three matches that Alex Pereira would have to beat one of these three guys, and I told you a scenario where that could be surreal gone. I laid out a scenario where they're going to take they're going to keep the undisputed belt around Tom, but Tom's out for a little longer than anybody thought with these eye injuries. They're going to do an interim title. They're going to do surreal versus Alex. I think that you like it. I think that you'd be into that fight, and I think that you could see a path to victory for Alex. I also think in that same scenario that if Tom is going to be out longer than is an acceptable period of time, the one fight And it's the only fight. The only fight that I can tell you the UFC won't make is Surreal versus John Jones Part 2. That's the only fight I'm confident in telling you is not going to happen. But there again is what creates the opportunity for Alex Pereira, because if you were to take the belt off of Aspinall or to do an interim belt while you wait for Aspinall, you could also ignore Surreal. You could say, hey, wait a minute. Hey, Surreal, that's our guy. That's the guy. Surreal's fighting for the undisputed belt. That's what he's going to do. We're going to have John Jones and Pereira fight for the interim title. You have a way that you could do that. And before we get there, my larger point is that Pereira, through the year of 2026, to become heavyweight champion, is either going to have to beat Tom Aspinall, John Jones, or Surreal. Those are all really, really hard things to do. Those are all really possible things to do. Those are all matches that are possible to come about. In fact, I don't hear any discussion, even behind the scenes, about Carlos Ulberg versus Alex Pereira. Everything that I hear behind the scenes involving Alex Pereira has to do with different possible matchups at heavyweight. Doesn't have to do that. Has the opportunity right now. We don't have to get creative and find a way to get him a world title shot. He's got the world title right now, but does he want to make the weight? When you have a guy that is that successful, things that motivate him change. Motivating him in general gets harder to do. And sometimes you got to just ask the guy. And in this case, it's Alex Pereira. Alex, what do you want to do? And he has not clearly said that he does not want to go back to 205 or that he's unwilling to, but he's made it very clear that his preference is at heavyweight. And his preference is a title opportunity. And if he is to go to heavyweight and Alex Pereira is to become champion, interim or undisputed, if he does that in 2026, it will be one of the top stories, and that is why he comes in number 2 on my list.